I never thought I'd find myself in a situation like this, honestly. I always believed I was a pretty perceptive guy, not some naive idiot, but I guess I was just too blind to see what was right in front of me. My name's Jake, and I was with Emily for about 5 years before everything fell apart. We got engaged about a year ago, planned the wedding, and I was so excited. I thought I knew everything about her, about us. But now, I realize I was just fooling myself. Looking back, there were little signs. She'd cancel plans last minute, say she was busy with work or tired. Sometimes she'd get a little defensive when I'd ask about her day or why she seemed distant. I'd brush it off because I trusted her. She's got that bitchy, manipulative streak that she likes to show off. She's the type to lie to your face, act like she's innocent while she's sneaking around. She's good at hiding things, so good that I never suspected a thing until I found the evidence. It all started when I noticed her phone was acting weird. She'd take it everywhere, always kept it with her, even to the bathroom. Once I saw a text pop up on her screen, something about "can't wait to see you tonight" from a number I didn't recognize. I thought maybe it was just a friend, but the way she'd react if I asked about it was suspicious. She'd brush it off, say I was paranoid, accuse me of overthinking. That's her default move: deny everything, lie, and gaslight. Then came the clincher. One night I was helping her pack for a business trip, and I accidentally knocked her purse off the bed. Her phone slid out. I saw a number I didn't recognize, along with a string of messages, flirty, suggestive, talking about meeting up, about sex. My stomach sank. I didn't even know how to process what I was reading. It was clear she'd been lying to my face for months, not just about work or saying she was tired. She'd been cheating on me with my best friend, Mark. That's when everything hit me like a freight train. I felt this mix of shock, rage, heartbreak, all at once. I never thought Emily, my wife, the woman I was planning a future with, would do something so cold and calculated. And Mark, my best friend, how could he do this? How could he betray me like that, sleep with her while I was trying to make us a real family? It felt like my life was unraveling and I was just watching it all fall apart. I knew I had to confront her, but I wasn't ready. Not yet. The next day I couldn't sleep. My mind was racing, replaying everything I'd found and trying to connect the dots. I kept asking myself how long this had been going on, how many times they had lied to my face, how I'd been so blind to it all. I didn't want to jump to conclusions, but the evidence was undeniable. Emily had been sneaking around, lying, hiding her phone, flirting behind my back, and even worse, she'd been sleeping with my best friend. How could she be so bitchy about everything, so manipulative, and then turn around and do this? I felt like a fool for trusting her, for believing that we had something real. I needed to confront her, but I also needed a plan. I couldn't just burst into her room and accuse her without evidence or a game plan. So I started gathering everything I could find: screenshots of the messages, her call logs, her emails. I wanted to be cold and methodical. I couldn't let her gaslight me again. When I finally sat her down later that afternoon, I was already boiling inside. She looked at me with that fake, bitchy smile she always wore when she was trying to be charming or deflect. "Jake, what's wrong? You look like you've seen a ghost." "Yeah," I thought. "You're damn right I have." I looked her straight in the eyes and told her I knew everything, that I saw the messages, that I knew she'd been screwing my best friend behind my back for months. Her face twisted into this annoyed, irritated expression, as if I was just bothering her with my accusations. She rolled her eyes and her voice got that snippy tone she always used when she was annoyed. "Oh, Jake, you're so paranoid. You're making a big deal out of nothing. Those messages, someone else probably sent them by mistake. You're overreacting, as usual." She tried to laugh it off, but I wasn't buying it. I told her I wasn't stupid, that I knew about their affair, about the sex, about the lies. Her reaction: she scoffed, shook her head, and said, "You really think Mark would cheat on you with me? That's ridiculous. You're so insecure, it's pathetic. Maybe I should just leave. Or maybe you're the one who's got issues if you're so obsessed with my phone." That was her way of turning everything around, making me doubt my own eyes and ears. But I wasn't going to let her manipulate me anymore. I was furious, yes, but also heartbroken. How could she be so bitchy and dismissive after everything we'd been through? I felt betrayed, shattered, like I'd lost a part of myself. The pain was overwhelming. I realized then that I couldn't stay in this relationship, not with her lying and screwing around behind my back. It was over, whether I wanted it to be or not. Still, part of me wondered if she'd even care, or if she'd just shrug and walk away like she always did when she didn't get her way. That's the worst part, knowing she's probably already planning her next move, probably already thinking about how she can spin this to her advantage. After that confrontation, I didn't sleep much that night. My mind kept replaying everything, trying to figure out how I missed the signs, how I could have been so blind. The betrayal cut deep, knowing she lied to me for months, cheated on me with Mark, and then had the audacity to deny everything. I felt like I was drowning in a sea of betrayal, and honestly, I was furious at myself for trusting her so blindly. The worst part was the realization that the woman I loved, the woman I was about to marry, had been plotting behind my back, playing me like a fool. I kept thinking about all the plans we made, the future I'd envisioned, gone in an instant. I felt a strange mixture of heartbreak and rage, and I knew I had to do something about it. I couldn't just let her walk away after this. I needed to make her pay for her lies, her manipulations, her betrayal. Over the next few days, I started planning. I wanted her to feel what I felt, utter devastation. I decided I'd confront her again, but this time with more evidence, more leverage. I wasn't going to let her spin her way out of it like she always tried. I secretly saved all the messages, photos, and even recorded her calling Mark a few times that I'd come across. I wanted to be cold and calculated, to show her I was serious. I also reached out to a private investigator I knew, someone who could help me gather more proof, just in case she tried to deny it all again. The irony was that I never thought I'd be the kind of guy to do this, plot revenge, gather evidence, become some kind of detective in my own life. But I was desperate. Betrayal doesn't come with an instruction manual, and I was winging it every step of the way. I knew I had to be careful. If she caught wind that I knew, she might escalate her lies or even do something worse. I couldn't let her get away easily. I also wasn't even sure what I wanted, not really. Part of me just wanted her gone, out of my life forever. The other part, it was so wounded, so broken, I wondered if I'd ever recover from this. One thing I did know, I would not let her manipulate me anymore. I was done being the naive husband who trusted blindly. I'd wait, gather everything I needed, and then I would confront her again, this time with all the evidence in hand. I wanted her to see that I wasn't the fool she thought I was, that I was capable of making her pay for every lie, every secret, every moment of betrayal. And I was already planning my next move because I knew her well enough now. Emily wasn't going down without a fight. The day I decided to confront her again, I felt like a different person, more focused, more cold. I had the evidence spread out in my mind, and I knew exactly what I was going to say. I wanted her to see that I wasn't some pushover anymore, that I had turned into someone who could finally stand up to her. I waited until she got home from work, knowing she'd be tired, cranky, and probably expecting me to roll over again like I had so many times before. When she walked through the door, the fake bitchy smile was already there. "Hey babe," she said, tossing her purse on the couch. "What's up?" I looked at her, cold and steady, and told her I had something to show her. I pulled out my phone and played the recordings I'd made, the ones where she called Mark her favorite, and the texts about meeting up for sex. Her face froze for a moment, then her expression twisted into that familiar annoyed look like I was bothering her. "Oh, come on," she snapped. "You're really going to stoop to this level? This is so pathetic. You don't have anything on me. You're just being paranoid as usual." But I was ready. I pushed the phone closer and told her I knew everything. The affair, the lies, the sex, that I had proof, and I wasn't going to let her manipulate me anymore. Her eyes narrowed and she scoffed again, throwing her head back. "You really think I'd cheat on you with Mark? That's just crazy. You're so insecure." Her voice was sharp, her tone bitchy and dismissive. "You lied to me for months," I said. "You lied about work, about being tired, about everything. You thought you could keep this secret forever. But I found out, Emily, and I'm done." I saw her lips tighten, and for a second I thought she might burst into tears or get angry, but instead she just looked at me with contempt. "Fine," she spat out. If you want to believe some stupid phone, go ahead, but you're making a huge mistake. You're overreacting, you're crazy. That's when I realized she wasn't even sorry, she wasn't remorseful, she was just pissed I caught her. Her bitchy attitude, her lies, it was all a part of her game. I felt a surge of anger and betrayal so intense I could barely breathe. I told her she could pack her bags, that I wanted her gone. She sneered at me and said, "You're just jealous. You're not enough for me, that's why you're so obsessed with this." I couldn't believe her. That manipulative, bitchy excuse she threw out like a shield. It was clear she still thought she could spin her way out of it like she always did. But I wasn't going to let her. I was done listening to her lies. I told her she could leave any time she wanted, and that I'd be better off without her manipulations. As she stormed out, I felt a strange mix of relief and devastation. I knew there was more to come. She wouldn't go quietly, but at least now I had finally stood up. I had finally seen her for what she was, the manipulative, bitchy liar who thought she could get away with anything, and I was done being her fool. The days that followed were a blur of feeling lost and incredibly angry. I kept replaying everything in my mind, her sneering, her lies, the way she dismissed me like I was nothing. Honestly, I'd never felt so betrayed in my life. It wasn't just about the affair. It was her entire attitude, smug, dismissive, bitchy, and the fact that she thought she could just walk away from all of it like nothing happened. That made me more furious than anything. But I also knew I had to be smart about this. I wasn't going to let her manipulate me again or make me doubt myself. I'd already gathered enough evidence, thanks to that private investigator I hired. I had her texts, her calls, even photos of her and Mark together, all confirming what I already knew. I was ready to show her I wasn't some naive fool anymore. I wanted her to see that her lies had consequences, that she couldn't just walk over me. One afternoon, I arranged to meet her at her favorite coffee shop, just the two of us. I told her I wanted to talk serious stuff. When she arrived, she looked annoyed but curious. I pulled out all the evidence on my phone and laid it out in front of her. Her face turned pale for a second, then got that bitchy sneer again. She scoffed, tried to brush it off, and played the victim, saying I was being crazy and possessive again. I stared her down and said, "I know the truth. I know about the sex, about Mark, about everything, and I want to hear you say it." She hesitated for a moment, then looked at me with that fake, bitchy smile and said, "Fine, it's true. I screwed Mark, but it doesn't mean anything. I was just bored, and it's not like I ever loved him. It was just sex." Her words made my stomach turn, not because she admitted it, because of how casually she said it, like it was nothing. Like I was some idiot for caring. I told her I couldn't do this anymore, that her lies, her manipulations, her cheating, she'd broken everything we had. I was done. That I was going to leave her, that I'd file for divorce and she could take her bitchy attitude and go on her way. She flipped out then, started yelling, calling me insecure, pathetic, jealous, basically doing everything she could to turn it around on me. That was her usual move. Blame me, deflect, act like I was the problem. But I'd had enough. I had been patient, I'd been trusting, and she just kept stabbing me in the back. Now I was ready to cut her out completely. I told her I didn't want to see her again, that I didn't want her in my life anymore. Her face twisted into this angry, bitchy glare, and she told me I was making a huge mistake, that I'd regret losing her, but I knew the truth, she'd already lost me. The betrayal was too deep, and I wasn't going to let her spin her way out of it again. I walked away then, knowing I'd never look back. The aftermath of all this, it's been a brutal ride. I feel like I've lost a huge part of myself, but at the same time, I realize I'm finally free from her manipulative bullshit. It's a lesson I won't forget: trust but verify. Never ignore the signs, no matter how much you love someone. Because sometimes, love isn't enough to keep you safe from betrayal, especially when the person you trusted the most turns out to be a total liar and cheat. Now, looking back, I honestly feel like I've been through a war. The pain, the anger, the betrayal, it's all still with me in some way, like a scar that doesn't fully fade. But I also know I've learned something from it all. Trust is fragile, and people can hide their true selves behind a pretty face and a fake smile. Emily was good at that. She knew exactly how to lie, manipulate, and make herself appear innocent when she was the one destroying everything. I've come to accept that I can't change what happened, but I can control how I move forward. I've started focusing on myself, rebuilding my confidence and making sure I don't get blindsided again. My advice to anyone else in a similar situation: pay attention. Don't ignore the little signs, like her phone always being hidden, her dismissive attitude, or her bullshit stories. Trust is earned, not given blindly. And when you find out someone been lying, cheating, and manipulating, don't be afraid to walk away. Because the only person you should be loyal to in the end is yourself. I still get angry sometimes, still feel the sting of betrayal, but it's getting better. I know I'll heal, and someday I'll find someone who's honest, genuine, and worth my trust. For now, I'm just glad I finally saw the truth, no matter how painful it was. That's the hardest lesson. Sometimes you have to lose everything to realize what really matters. And what matters most is your own peace of mind and self-respect. So yeah, that's my story. Betrayed, hurt, angry, yeah, but also stronger than I was before. And I hope anyone who's going through this knows they're not alone. It hurts, but it gets better.